welcome to the update. I'm Michelle Stevenson. Well, 6 former Australian Prime Ministers have come together to condemn the Hamas terrorist attack on Israel, but one former PM is refusing to put his name on the joint statement. The letter, signed by Kevin Rudd, John Howard, Julia Gillard, Tony Abbott, Malcolm Turnbull, as well as Scott Morrison, all call on Israel to do all it can to protect civilian life. But Paul Keating has refused to take any part. Meantime, Israeli Defence Forces have continued their attack through northern Gaza, claiming to have struck 450 Hamas targets in the first days of the ground offensive. Gaza officials report more than 8,000 Palestinians have been killed, while nearly 36 aid trucks have been able to enter the Gaza Strip, bringing desperately needed resources. Warmer weather and the release of the new iPhone have seen September's retail sales grow at their fastest pace in 8 months. Sales jumped 0.9% over the month to almost $36 billion. People spent money on hardware, clothing and gardening, but less in cafes and restaurants. Europe is being urged to come back to the table and reach a free trade deal with Australia. Negotiations between the federal government and European Union have collapsed after the EU demanded greater protection for its agricultural industries. But the opposition's Kevin Hogan says the Europeans are being unreasonable.
I support the government in not doing the deal, but look, I think Europe's been quite obstinate in this. The deal would have been good for them. They would get preferred status for critical minerals, but we need to stand by our farmers.
Qantas is denying claims of charging fees for no service as it files its defence against a case brought by the ACCC in the federal court. The watchdog is accusing the airline of selling tickets for flights which had already been cancelled. But Qantas argues they met their obligations under consumer law because passengers were given alternative travel options or refunds. And banks are offering assistance to customers struggling with loan repayments. The Australian Banking Association is launching a financial hardship campaign, encouraging Aussies not to tough it out on their own. Sport and entertainment are next. To sport, and the Matildas have taken control of their Olympic destiny with an emphatic 8-0 win over the Philippines in their second Asian qualifier. Hat-tricks to captain Sam Kerr and Caitlin Ford had the Perth crowd in raptures, more than satisfying the coach.
I think it was a little bit of a crossroad moment for this team, to be honest, in terms of what we want to be about now, when we want to be a top team in the world and be able to play like favourites and be able to play pocket passes. And we proved today that we have taken massive steps.
The side now sits on top of Group A with one game left against Chinese Taipei. In your entertainment news now, and one of Mathew Perry's former co-stars is considering adopting his 3-year-old dog. Now that's after the actor's tragic death at the weekend. Lisa Kudrow, who starred alongside the 54-year-old in Friends, is apparently thinking about taking in Perry's dog Alfred. It's as growing number of floral tributes are being left at the iconic Friends building in New York. Tearful mourners have been leaving bunches of flowers just outside the West Village apartment. And Adele admits that she's pretty desperate for another baby after spotting the doctor who delivered her now 11-year-old son in the audience. The 35-year-old singer told the crowd at her Caesars Palace concert she's feeling very broody. That's the latest from the Nova Podcast News team. We'll have another episode of The Update for you tomorrow. I'm Michelle Stevenson.